Students who write bank examinations eagerly wait for SBI PO notification. The notification with the 2,313 vacancies has been released. So it's a quite good number of vacancies. And people, there are various advantages. Those who wait for this notification because the SBI is the biggest bank in the country. And as there are having many vacancies, many branches are there, and the salary is also more comparative to other public sector banks. Minimum salary is 8 lakhs per annum and a maximum salary is about 13 lakhs. This is also one reason. And one more reason is as SBI is having many branches in abroad, so candidates will have a chance to work abroad also. And apart from this one, there is a unique advantage with SBI is those who get selected as probationary officers in SBI will have they will go for a training period, probation period for 2 years. After 2 years, they will write a test. They have to write a test, and those who perform well in that particular thing, the standards which set by the bank later, who achieve those standards will be directly taken as scale 2 officers, and the remaining other candidates who pass in that particular test will be taken as scale 1 officers. So this one advantage only SBI is having. So there is a chance for the candidates to be selected as a scale 2 officers directly with this recruitment. So these are the main reasons candidates eagerly wait for this SBI PO notification. This year notification has come, and the selection is for the 3 ways. Like a preliminary examination, main examination and interview. Those who qualify in preliminary will be called for main examination, and those who qualify in main examination will be called for group discussion and interview, the 3rd stage. The marks of preliminary is only for qualifying in nature. The marks of main examination and group discussion and interview will be considered for the final selection. Now the preliminary examination is in the last week of April, 29th to 30th April. So almost 2.5 months time is there to prepare for this one, and main examination is on 4th June. Now let us see how to prepare for this particular examination. And candidates, actually one advantage with this notification is those who are graduates, all graduates can apply, and those who are in final year of their graduation and complete their graduation by July can apply, 31st July can apply for this particular thing also, particular notification. So final year candidates also can apply, and those who are writing these examinations for the first time also have an ample time to get succeed in this notification. So first timers also can get success, that much time is there. Now let us understand, prelims examination is having 3 subjects: quantitative aptitude, reasoning and English. Mains examination is having 4 subjects: data interpretation and analysis, reasoning, English and general awareness. So if you can understand, so the subjects out of 4 subjects of mains, 3 subjects are there even in preliminary examination also. So candidates have to think in such a way that their only thing between these subjects in preliminary and mains is the standard, the level of examination. The main examination is naturally at high standards, preliminary examination is at low standard. So students have to keep this thing in mind, like they have to prepare for main examination. Once they prepare for main examination, automatically their preparation for prelims will be over, especially for these 3 subjects. So students have to prepare for main examination by keeping preliminary examination time in mind. So by 29th April, they have to complete their preparation for these 3 subjects at a higher level, at a mains level examination. That is very important. Then they can finish off the preliminary examination at high standard, and after once they complete their preliminary examination, they can prepare for general awareness also, as they will have about 1 month time almost, so that sufficient, that time will be sufficient. Or even they can once in a while they can go through this general awareness. Even now also they can start preparing as well. So this is how they have to prepare. And now let us see these subjects. See, comparative to IBPS PO examination, SBI PO examination is at a higher standard examination naturally. And one thing is there, that every time, whenever SBI will conduct an examination, in every subject they introduce some new kind of questions, a new models of questions they introduce. So candidates, while preparing for this examination, they have to keep these things in mind and prepare well for these things. And let us understand now data interpretation and analysis subject. So for this particular subject, there are 35 questions in main examination, and the same subject is called as quantitative aptitude in preliminary examination. Preliminary examination, there is no there are actually 35 questions from this one. So same number of questions even mains in data interpretation you can find. And if you can see, out of this examination, of course in main examination more of the questions are of data interpretation, and the remaining questions you can get from other questions like data sufficiency, and some questions of arithmetics also, and of course permutations and combinations, and even probability also we can find. And one thing here is students who are good at percentages, ratios and average can solve these data interpretation questions quite easily. And there are not a single graph, and a combination of mixed graphs will be given in this examination. More than one graph will be there. Students have to carefully correlate between the graphs. The relation between the graphs they have to identify, and numbers also they have to see. This is very important. And very often they do mistakes while solving data interpretation questions is about taking the right data. If they are unable to take right data, they may go wrong for these things. So taking the right data is important, and solving immediately is also important. Sometimes without solving much of work also, we can solve some questions, but they have to be very thorough of solving these questions. Then they can have an idea how to solve without some calculations and all. That also will be there. And units of the graphs also very important. For example, sometimes they give you in 1,000 rupees, and they give you 50 or 60. 50 means it is 50,000 rupees. 60 means it is 60,000 rupees. Sometimes what happens, after the calculation they may get finally some 75. That means it is 75,000. But in the options 75 also will be given. So candidates have to be very careful about these units and see the legend of the graph also. Means a line graph or lines or bars of the graph representing what actually they are representing, and all will be, that legend will tell us. So they have to be careful about these things also. And apart from these things, questions of other topics of arithmetic, the permutation combination, they have to be thorough. Then we can solve these questions very easily. And reasoning also, quite reasoning questions are at higher level reasoning questions. Other than general reasoning, critical and analytical reasoning questions you can find more in that one, like statements, assumptions, statements, conclusions, course of actions, inferences, puzzle test, seating arrangement, input, output, eligibility test. These are all very important. And the things we can see, they mix puzzle test in seating arrangement questions. So this is also very important, and candidates have to prepare at a higher level definitely. So then only they can solve. And of course reasoning questions are time taking one. For example, if a seating arrangement question is given followed by 5 questions, they have to quite quickly they have to solve these things so that they can able to answer 5 questions. Same thing in puzzle test also, same thing in eligibility test or input output, almost 5 questions each on each one. So definitely they have to solve in very quick time so that they will be able to answer more questions in reasoning. And coming to general English, as the grammar and comprehension, vocabulary will be there in these general English questions. Almost half of the questions are grammar based, like correction of sentences, jumbled sentences, rearrangement of sentences, like a closed test. These kind of questions we can find. But as I said you, like in SBI examination, new model of questions will come. Last time, previous year 2016 paper, if you can see, instead of filling the blanks while giving a passage followed by some blanks, in that blanks they have to fill with sentences, not with words. So some options are given with sentences. They have to select the right sentence, right option there. That is one model of new model of question. And other one is, out of 5 options, they give sentences in 5 options. Out of 5 options, 4 sentences will form a passage. One is a different from these 4. They have to identify the different sentence from these remaining other 4 sentences. This is a new type of questions they have introduced last time. So by keeping these things in mind, they have to prepare. And of course, so reading comprehension, about 10 to 15 questions so they get in reading comprehension. It is time taking one generally, so candidates have to read very fastly. They have to improve their reading speed. Or one more thing is, instead of reading passage first and questions later, they can read even questions first and passage later also. That definitely saves some time. So that also, but everything is depends on the practice. So, and the general awareness, as I said, that they can start once the preliminary examination is over, but the general awareness, this thing also with a special emphasis on banking, economy and finance. So by keeping these things in mind, they have to prepare well. It is not a general knowledge questions, they are all at a high level questions like finance and economy, like RBI, like central government organizations, stock market, or other central government schemes, financial institutions, international institutions like IMF, World Bank, Asian Development Bank, or BRICS, or other major events whatever happening, or let us say the demonetization, post demonetization effect, the impact in Indian economy. These kind of things students have to prepare well of all those things. Reading newspaper is must. They have to read thoroughly a newspaper and they note down all the points and all. And so that they note down, and once they refer all these things, so that saves a lot of time for these people. And one thing, so these better you just refer the previous examination papers and see what type of questions are coming in this particular examination, what standard of questions are coming also. They can compare with other IBPS PO examinations, they will come to know. And they also will come to know how to prepare for these type of questions. And so by keeping time in mind, so once again I am mentioning here, like keeping preliminary examination time in mind, they have to prepare at mains examination standard. Once the preliminary examination is over, they prepare another 1 month time, they prepare hard for this main examination. And after that one, they can once they qualify in main examination, interview and group discussion is not a big matter. But if they prepare thoroughly like this one, getting success in SBI PO examination, even for a fresher, even for a graduate who is writing for the first time, is not a big thing at all.